We have people here who drove 5 hours. Someone in the first session said they drove 5 hours. But it's not really, once you get into the Catskills, they're very beautiful, right? It's not like driving on the, in the city, right, where stop, start, stop, start. But once you get into these mountains, they're actually very beautiful. And this particular spot, we're 5 minutes from Catterskill Falls. Did you pass it when you came up? And then we're about 5 minutes from North-South Lake. Do you know this place? It's a very popular campground, state-run, packed. I mean, there people register in April to get a site to camp in July. It's really popular. And they rent little boats and all that up there, so yeah. So it's very, and then Hunter Mountain, for skiers, you're 5 minutes from Hunter Mountain this way. But you're also very remote. You're pretty, pretty away from everything. You're from the city? From New York City? You're from Queens. Yep, we have a lot of people in Queens. Do you know our center in Elmhurst? Yeah? You can't park there, can you? It's too hard. That's the problem with Queens. I love Queens, but you can't park, right? So, right. Anyone else here for the first time? Yes, where are you from? From New Jersey. I think New Jersey is a suburb of Peace Village. Because there's a lot of people who come here from New Jersey. It's not that far, is it? Like 2 hours or, yeah, something like that, yeah. Where are you from?
Boston.
From Boston. Did you drive in this weekend? That's a nice drive, 3.5 hours, not bad, right? Yeah, okay. So for those who've just come in, I'm inviting you to come forward because sometimes what happens is people come in later in the talk and then they kind of are reluctant to step in front of people. So these talks that are going on in this room today are samples of retreats we do all year. So one of the retreats we've done for many years, how many years, Freedom from Anger? 10, maybe 10 years? There's certain retreats that are new, we do them once or twice and they go away. There's other retreats that we do every year and they're sold out. They sell out in advance. This one sold out in advance, probably something like maybe 3 weeks out. We put a waiting list together. This happens for a few of the retreats. So our feeling is that what people are dealing with is they're in a world that has a lot of tension and anger and influences from people's frustration, and they don't know what to do with that. They don't know how to deal with the incoming influence. So this retreat helps with that. It's not so easy, right? Sometimes the influence is living in your house with you, and that's a whole nother issue, right? But sometimes it's what happens to you on the bus or in the subway or at work or whatever. And so we can wait around for everyone to be nice and relaxed, or we can learn how to do that ourselves. And that's what Eric is going to talk with you about today. I'm going to have to make up his bio because he wouldn't send me one. So Eric Larson lives in Long Island, but he was raised in the Midwest. And he was an engineer by profession, but he's actually become right at the heart of the Brahma Kumaris. He runs our regional coordinating office. He runs our national coordinating office. He is the right hand of Sister Mohini, who is now the head of the Brahma Kumaris. But he also is a real thoughtful person and practical person. Some people with their spiritual things, they're up here, right? Eric is about the lived experience. So I think you're going to enjoy the time with him. And just so you know, we are also live streaming this. So if you have questions at the end, we'll ask you to take a mic so the people on live stream can be a part of it as well. All right? Eric.
Good afternoon. It got so quiet when I got up here. Very good. I'll do my best. I will do my best. Thank you for coming. And there are some seats up here. I just emptied one. It was a really good one, if you want that. And we'll adjust the microphones here. Perfect. Thank you. And so there was a time when I had more time, and so I would spend it with some friends, and we might watch a basketball game or a football game or something like that. Take a whole afternoon. I don't do that anymore. But I do every once in a while go to YouTube and watch some of the highlights, 3 hours down into 8 minutes. That's kind of what I'm going to try to do with a weekend retreat and kind of squish it down into 15 minutes or so. So you might see some or hear some interesting things, but I kind of have the sense, just my guess, is that if you came with an issue, it's not going to be resolved today. All right, that's just kind of how I'm seeing this. This could be a 15-minute commercial for a retreat next year, or it could be something to get us thinking, and I will plug coming back to Peace Village for some of the other retreats. Because we did this a long time ago. It was managing anger and anger management. Now I think it's called freedom from anger. I don't know if there's a difference or not, but it's evolved. One of the early retreats that we did for freedom from anger, anger management, managing anger, after the first night, there were a team of us, and I represent the team. I'm not the whole thing. Actually, there's a sister who should be up here because she's kind of the mastermind of our whole retreat. And after people introduced themselves and why you here, what's going on, one of our co-facilitators kind of came up and said, "There's a lot of angry people here." It's like, well, that makes sense, doesn't it? But we don't have to have a reason to come to the freedom from anger, because it's a lot about our thinking. And I'm hoping that some of you might have a practice for what you think and choosing to be able to create a picture, a vision, an idea, and a feeling. And we're going to try that first. I'm on the cutting edge of technology. And so they asked what I might need, and I don't need anything because I use virtual PowerPoint. Okay, so we're going to have a virtual experience. So what I'm going to ask you to do is close your eyes. Okay, and this is the technology. It's called virtual PowerPoint. I want you to see yourself relaxed, maybe sitting in a red chair, maybe sitting around people who are doing the same thing you are. Maybe you're sitting with someone and around and feeling calmness in the room, the silence of your mind, the ability to see yourself smiling. You don't have to look at yourself in your phone, but know what it feels like just to take a deep breath, exhale anything that you've got. Let your thoughts just float and see yourself calm, peaceful, relaxed, happy. We're addressing our thinking. You are creating thoughts, and those thoughts are going to bring you the experience you want more of. See yourself calm, relaxed, at peace. Let your mind drift away. There's nothing that you need to do right now. No other thoughts other than I am in this room, I'm in this chair, I see myself at peace. And see if you can hold on to that experience and turn off your virtual PowerPoint. You didn't need to see pictures of anything, but you created them. And if you want to keep your eyes closed for the next half hour and be in a blissful state, it's fine by me. But otherwise, I'm going to ask you to come back. Were you able to see, create, connect with your thoughts and what you created in that? Anyone? Yes, no? Was it hard, easy? Was that a painful 3 minutes? Those questions were supposed to have answers, but you are all very focused on listening, so that's great. So I will not try very hard to engage you in a response. So there's no pressure. Are you okay? Can you relax with that? No tension here. Just easy. Some of the things that we try to do in the retreat is to identify anger. And so have you ever or been angry or seen someone be angry? Raise your hand. Okay, some of you have never experienced that before, it looks like. All right, well, okay, thank you. There you go. You've been angry, you've seen people be angry. All right. So I would not have to put much time into creating that experience for you or describing that, do I? If I say anger, you have a preconceived idea of that for yourself and for others. Is that right? Okay, thank you for the yes. Oftentimes, and we give a list out, I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll create a list and give it out of some of the types of anger. Oh, maybe I'll do 15 or 20, but that would have been a huge mistake. And pieces of paper that get handed out end up here and there. So congratulations on cooperating with not polluting Peace Village by forgetting a piece of paper, because I'm not going to give you one. You're going to have to come next year to get your own piece of paper that has a list of different types of anger. And oftentimes when we hear the word anger, we think of what? Slamming doors, shouting, and such like that. Correct? Is that generally how it goes? And that's kind of what we're afraid of. And a lot of us act that way. Something doesn't go right. Something isn't the way we think it should be. And there's this outburst. That's one way. And so we have a checklist and we say, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? And such. That's external anger. Seat here, some over there. You can just sit right on the edge here if there's no room. That's an external version of it. And everybody knows that part. But what I find interesting about this is we say, well, that's half of what anger looks like. The other half is not external. I'll do this, I'll, shake, but it is internal. And anger is an energy, a feeling, and where we end up is a gift, surprise. And when you sometimes get angry, but you don't know what to do with that, sometimes you can take it inside. And so you can get upset, you can get depressed, there's a lot of internal anger aspects where you don't release it, you don't let it flow, you don't let it go out, you don't somehow explode, but you hold on to that. And there's a number of different ways that we identify those aspects of ourselves. But that's anger also. Just because you don't shout, just because you don't get upset, just because you don't have some sort of explosion, doesn't mean that you're not carrying anger. Sometimes we hold on to it. One little example, food. How many of you were here for the food workshop? 2 sessions ago, 2 hours ago, something like that. Silent anger. Have you ever stuffed anger? So angry, I'm just going to eat. Okay? You stuff it. You close it down. You shut it down. There's lots of different ways that we can limit feeling it. And so identifying it in our own, and in the retreats, we kind of go through steps and kind of, what do you do? How do you do it? So that there is a self-identity. Because everybody has the opportunity multiple times during the day to choose to be angry. But when we think about anger, kind of collect the stories that you're living in with right now, I want you to think, what actually happens and why does it happen? Why do I get angry? Why is the energy of anger coming to me? And keep it separate from yourself. You are not angry. You are all sitting here peaceful, quiet. We did a little commentary. We did the virtual PowerPoints, seeing things in our own mind. For the most part, you were just kind of calm. That's your natural state. We start with a spiritual unawareness of self and kind of move into that. But your natural state isn't always anger. You kind of maybe have it and let it go, and then you kind of come back to your stable state. You are not angry. That is not you. You are a being of peace, is how Peace Village would say it. Peace Village, get it? But if you go through your day, it doesn't always work the way you want it to, does it? And so you have an idea of what should happen, and something else is happening. And what is a common reaction at that moment for us? I don't like it, and therefore I give myself permission to be angry. Why didn't you do this the way I wanted it? Why did this person cut in front of me? How come it's raining outside? It was not supposed to do that. We had all these plans. How come there aren't any more chairs? Who's in charge of chairs in this room? All sorts of different things that we could choose to react to. But I want us to think about anger as it's a choice. Because how we then step into that is, it could be something we express, it could be something that we take in, but it is something that comes to us in a moment. And it comes so quickly that we don't recognize a big aspect of it. And the big aspect of the retreat is, what's the story I'm telling myself? And I'll give you an example of that. Just the other day, 2 days ago, I live in Long Island, and there is a grocery store that is more popular than its parking. Okay, it's kind of like, it should be in Queens. There's no parking for it, except in front of it there are some pull-in stalls, parking spots. And it's close to the train station, and it's around a circle, and so what usually happens on the busy afternoons or evenings is all the parking is full. People are kind of driving slow, looking around, what am I going to do with my car? And then someone's, they see someone loading their groceries into the car, and then they stop and wait. It's a one-lane road. And so they stop and wait, and typically this one will pull out and this one will pull in and it'll go. But sometimes it doesn't work quite that way. So this one takes a little while loading, this one is blocking it, this one takes a little longer, has to do this, and another car, and people are coming to pick up people, and so you can stop traffic in 4 directions. This one car, very powerful car. And then what do I hear? Any idea? Honking. We hear honking. I'm not a big fan of honking. You just be patient, relax, But some people are rushing to get home, and some people are looking for a parking spot. And so it's not as bad as I'm making it out. But there is this sense that yesterday, the day before, someone honked their horn, and then they honked their horn again, and then they sat on their horn. And like, that seems, why would you do that? Because typically they're in a hurry and they're rushed and they're kind of angry. And so unwisely, I kind of, because it moved slow, I just saw who the car was. And as it came around the circle, I stood in the street. And I looked at him, I was like, what's up? And then I walked around to the driver's side. And there was an older woman, the kind who kind of hangs from the steering wheel and looks underneath it, if you know what I mean. Not like this, but kind of, And I'm not sure how she was, but then her window was down. She says, I almost got hit. It was so terrible, this person. And my mind flipped a switch in that instant. Why are you honking? What's the problem? Can't you do this? That was a conversation I thought I was going to have. But all of a sudden, I'm saying, it's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. You're okay right now. Because of the story I was telling myself. Do you understand the difference? There's an event. It's called a trigger. And we have triggers all around, all the time. But what am I telling myself inside in that half of a second? And do I have the ability, and this is not only for the anger, freedom from anger retreat, but it's all our retreats. What am I thinking? How do I empower myself so I give myself a chance to breathe and respond rather than have old habits dictate a pattern? Because I'm going to give you some free advice. I heard on the news, two people had a car accident, or were fighting over a parking place. This was this week. And as they were fighting, they both had guns. And they shot at each other. Okay, my free advice, treat every driver as if they carry a gun. Okay, who are you going to honk at? Who bang, and just tell the story. This person might have a gun. And then just see how much patience comes. You will become very powerful with that one little, this is the free tip today. Drive like they're, who knows what's going on in their minds. They might be rushing to the hospital to see their mother for the last time. They might, be robbing a bank. Do you want to engage with, tell yourself, when you're traveling, I'm here to get somewhere else. And you did a great job getting here. Congratulations. I hope you get back safely the same way. And you will, because you're going to drive as if everybody on the road has a gun. And you're just going to mind your own business, focus on what you're going to do. So what's the story we tell ourselves? And it's a fabulous practice all the time. Somebody did this. Well, what am I telling myself right now? That they were rude, they were wrong? What do you know? You don't know what's going on in their mind. So why would you give them the power for you to let go of a feeling of peace and happiness? Because that would be our intent. How do we practice stabilizing ourselves in something to be able to see triggers, situations that we don't like, and deal with those? And so it's not that we turn the energy of anger outwardly, and we don't turn it inwardly, but how do we let that become a gift and flow? How many of you, I wish I could tell you today, were in the sunshine and felt the warmth of it? Okay? It's kind of, you can do this experiment tomorrow. Go out in the sunshine. It's gonna be sunny tomorrow. All this is gonna blow through. Fast-moving cold front, I heard. Tomorrow is gonna be sunny. And what is the feeling you're going to have if you stand in the sun? You're gonna be warm. Why do you get warm? Because you're in the sun, okay? Very good. I'm in the sun, I get warm. Why do you get warm? Because I'm in the sun. Okay. I don't ask hard questions, just so you know, okay? It's like, oh, man, I don't know. You're in the sun, you get warm. You're warm because you're in the sun. It's an energy that comes, right? How many of you ever had a magnifying glass and a piece of paper in the hot summer day? Could you light it on fire? Okay, okay. How many of you have ever been to the beach too long? Fell asleep in the sun? What happened? You get burned. It's an energy that comes and can be used. Understand that? We can power, we're looking at powering Peace Village by having some glass panels that will absorb that energy and create steam and electricity and all that stuff. It's an energy to be used, and if you use it wrong, you get hurt. Okay? You know that. You can burn things. You can burn yourself. If you don't have any energy, you're going to get cold. So see the sun as giving you something to use, not to hold on to, not to just get stuck with, but see anger in the same way. It's an energy that comes to help you to respond, to do something, to move through that situation. It's an emotion, energy in motion. And so to express it in a detrimental way to yourself and somebody else, okay, that's your choice, and it is a choice. Or you can start to say, there was a trigger, I felt that something is wrong, but what am I going to do and how can I do that in a productive way? And so the energy of anger is there for you to move through the situation in an assertive way so that you can handle whatever it is that's in front of you, stabilizing yourself in a state of peace and calm and your original qualities so that it is not a dominant force, but you can deal with it and you will be done with it. That's a little bit of how we try to move through the weekend of freedom from anger. Does that sound like it might be a fun weekend? Do you think it might be a productive weekend? Would I be able to say that I will see you all next year at that retreat? Cool. Very good. I'm not sure how we're doing, but I think I've gone over my time and we might have some Q&A, or maybe we can listen to the great facilitator of Peace Village, Sister Judy, and see what's up.
So, anger, freedom from. Was that helpful? Yeah. We have a few minutes if you've got stories, questions, etc. Anything on your mind as you listen to this? I liked your parking lot stories. That's where the drama happens, right? When you go for a parking place and someone takes it, that's when you really have to be kind. Anyone have any questions? Yes.
Eric? Atul Shah from New Jersey, engineer, 30 years in business. Last week, one of my clients sent me a Google review and said, do you know, clients say you are getting angry, you were never like this before. So one of my, really honestly, coming here was, I'd say, I never saw myself getting angry, but when the client says clearly that there's a Google review about you getting angry, I'd say, I need to find an answer where things turn, which I didn't see yet. So.
Okay. We
What if
often
he
won't.
doesn't want to wait till next
Yeah,
year,
okay.
Eric?
We often
I
don't.
mean, if he's losing clients, he doesn't want to wait till next summer.
I hope you know where a meditation center is in your area. If you don't.
Where are you, New
check.
Jersey? Oh, we have lots of, yeah.
There.
We have them in Cinnaminson, we have them in Edison. Yeah, so don't wait till next year.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly. So go to that one. Don't wait till next year and lose clients. Not worth it, right?
yeah. I don't want to insult anybody, but I do want to make it clear that if you get angry, you do not have the strength to hold on to your peace. And so what do you practice? What is the discipline? What is the skill? What is the routine so that you have so much strength that somebody else's behavior isn't going to dominate your life? And if you don't have that strength, then other things are going to take over, and it's a weakness. A practice of strength training for your spiritual awareness and choice of thoughts is entirely what the retreat is about and what I try to practice. And I've been doing that for a long time. And one of these days, I'm going to get pretty good at it or better at it. But that's kind of the intent. Freedom from anger is really looking at our own behavior, what it is, why we do it, and how we might set up a process for ourselves moving forward to change. It's all about what's important to me. And if you're like average person, you would choose to be peaceful and happy and content over anger and fear and depressed. Average, typical would choose this, okay? And if you choose this, think about that. What are you getting out of that? And some people are happy when they're depressed. Oh, I'm depressed, you're depressed. Oh, that makes me feel good. Yeah, birds of a feather sometimes.
But
So-
Eric's talking about having strength, right? It's one thing to understand what he said. It's something else when someone has just pulled out in front of you or stolen your parking place to feel that way. And that's what spiritual power is about. So it starts with the retreats or the talks or the trip to Piscataway, to the center. But then after that, it's practice, right? Because if you're going to hold a thought of peace or love or kindness or whatever, you have to practice that, right? And the practice means that sometimes you do it and it doesn't work. So the next time you do it better, right? Another question? We have a minute or so.
Hello. Thank you very much. It was a very good eye-opener. My comment is that a lot of times we forget that we are the trigger of most of the anger. We are the trigger. And the reason I'm saying that anger it always doesn't come from external sources only, because we have stored so much in our memory. So when we are thinking, we started getting angry. So the easiest way to manage anger first start at home, that how I can think and still don't get angry.
Okay.
Once we control that, external will be very easy, because we have stored so much bad things in our memory. And it
Yeah.
occupies a lot of space and it keeps coming.
It
So,
keeps-
so that's a thought control mechanism, and it's not easy to practice, but that's the very good way to start. We don't have to go in the parking lot or grocery store.
We have a lot of hidden stories inside of ourselves, and we often don't recognize those. And so that's when our immediate reactions come. Oh, they're always like this. Oh, they've always done this. Oh, this. But it comes from telling ourselves this is who they are and this is what it is and this is why. And so kind of exposing some of those hidden stories, prejudices, ideas, experiences, and looking at those and letting those go.
I have taken a course under Sadhguru, and Sadhguru always says that all anger and everything comes within from us. And he says he will never let anybody have that privilege to control that anger of mine.
Okay.
So Yeah, it's easier for him probably because he's advanced, but we still have difficulty when, like you said, somebody takes our parking spot.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. It's a wonderful way you phrased that, giving someone the privilege to affect you, control you, handing it over. Why? Thanks.
May I share a story what works for us for the road rage?
If it's less than half an hour, yes.
Everybody knows the name of George Bernard Shaw's, how smart he was. So there is a small story. He was going through a very small street of London, and some hefty man, big and tall, and he came in front of him, and two people could not cross at the same time. So the tall guy, hefty guy said that, "I don't give ways to the fools." So George Bernard Shaw removed his hat, he bowed to him and said, "But I do, sir." So whenever somebody, tries to rage and pass us by in the car or something, we just say, "I do, sir."
There you go. Very good. Another tip. So thank you for that. There's a hand here.
Thank you for this talk. How do you handle when you have a repeated trigger? Somebody you're living with, your spouse, your child. Occasionally, if there's something triggers, you can hold the anger, you can talk about it. But if it's a constant, ongoing, repeated trigger, day in, day out, how much patience you can have, but you lose your energy, you lose your strength, anger comes in, you can control as much. What advice will you give at that stage?
Yeah. There would be a lot of techniques that one could try and practice, but listen to what you said. It's a trigger. It isn't the event, it isn't the person, it's your reaction to it. And so how can you take that anger energy and divert it? Can you expand it, make it ridiculous? Okay? Can you make a joke out of it? Can you recognize it for what it is? Oh, this is a trigger. This is telling me the story. It's activating. Let me look at that and let me not respond the way I have. What can I do differently? Sometimes it might be good to remove yourself from those who trigger you if you need that time. Okay, just because we know what to do doesn't make us strong. We have to practice, we have to do these things. And so going into a space where you're going to lift weights above your capacity isn't beneficial, isn't a good idea. So the more you practice something, the better off you'll be in those. But there was a situation when I was working, there was someone who would always talk and this and complain, and it wasn't a lot of fun. And we had a whole floor in a building. And so it was longer for me to go this way to get to the restroom than this way. But if I went this way, this person would be there and I would kind of have to, so I avoided. Okay, now it's hard to avoid your kids and your wife and your boss. So there might be other ways. But when I say to expand it, to make it ridiculous, sometimes, look at yourself and say, why am I doing this? What is it that is happening to me? And can I see it in a way that takes and diverts that energy that makes me feel hostile? And each person is going to be unique. Each situation is different. But if you are peaceful and happy, that skill is going to go with you in any situation. And so that's what we need to practice. Don't practice trying to fix anger. Practice being different, and then that won't be the same response.
The thing about these spiritual solutions is it's always us, right? It's never the other guy. It seems wrong. It seems like he should change or she should change. My spouse, my kids, make them change. But that's never the answer, is it? Excuse me.
Like you said, make it silly. You know, in Hindi, there is a phrase, बड़े बड़े देशों में छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहती है. That means in big big country, little things keep happening. So you can make it silly like that.
Yeah.
Just like don't sweat on small stuff. And at the end, it says everything is small stuff.
That's right. Yeah, and it's, again, the story we're telling ourselves about the situation.
I had a question to you on aging.
Aging.
Yes.
Don't do that.
But aging is normal, okay?
Okay.
And I'm dealing with an aging husband.
Okay.
And many times I lose my patience and I lose my focus on myself. And sometimes I get so lost on his issues,
Yep.
I don't know how to come out of it.
Okay. I will give you my experience about that. Get some help.
Okay.
Truly, okay? They're advertising on the radio now that if a family member has Parkinson's or whatever the disease is, you have it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because they pulls you in. And I know that taking care of someone is a full-time job, and one person can't do it. So get some help. And it's an expensive issue sometimes, it's a family issue sometimes, but I know that if you are the full-time caregiver of someone who needs care full-time, you are gonna go and get pulled down. It's too hard. That's my experience of seeing others in that situation. Mother, father, okay, they had to get help, okay? It's hard. To think that it is your job and I'm responsible and I have to do it myself, you're gonna seal yourself off and it's gonna be tough. Sorry.
You know what I like about Eric? One of the many things I like about Eric is you can tell he's been through this, can't you? He's not making it up. You can tell that these are really practical, grounded things. So join me in thanking Eric for taking the time with you today. And when that retreat gets posted for next year, sign up quick, because it fills up really fast. We haven't picked a date yet, but we do it every
2025.
year, so watch the website. So we will have the final talk of the day will be at 2:30, so you've got about 15 minutes to stretch. It's called Are You Awake? Are you breathing? And there's the facilitator right there. She came in just in time. So she'll start at 2:30, and then at 3:30, we'll actually probably sooner, we'll move over to the hall. So you can get some food, get some drink, whatever. We'll start in about 20 minutes, depending on which clock you're looking at. All right?